Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some incredible material from Forge College. We're talking about implementing deposit, borrow, and repay flows. Now, if you remember from the previous lesson, integration patterns and SDK design, we laid down some pretty robust architectural blueprints. Well, today, we're actually pouring the concrete for our DeFi application right on the Solana DevNet. We're taking all that theory and transforming it into real, runnable Node.js scripts. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going through every single step together, so let's get into it.
Okay, here's our master engineering schematic for today. First, blueprinting deadnet transactions. Then, the deposit architecture. Third, engineering the borrow flow. Fourth, constructing the repay flow. After that, validating the on-chain reality. And finally, structuring your next steps.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Blueprinting DevNet Transactions. We are officially moving from SDK design straight into construction. So before we even think about writing code, we've got to talk about a really crucial concept on Solana, and that's rent exemption. The rent-exempt minimum is basically the absolute minimum amount of lamports, the smallest unit of sol, that you need in an account just to keep it alive on the blockchain. Think of it like putting down a security deposit to secure a brand new apartment. For us, that apartment is a new token account or a program-derived address. If you don't fund that security deposit when you're creating an account programmatically, the network, our landlord in this scenario, is just going to kick you out and your transaction fails. We literally have to account for this perfectly in our scripts. Which brings us right to atomic transaction composition. Now, when we talk about atomicity in Web3, what we really mean is grouping multiple instructions into one single transaction, so they all succeed entirely or they all fail entirely. Together, it's totally all or nothing, kind of like a package delivery. Picture a delivery truck with 3 boxes in the back. Either all 3 boxes get dropped off perfectly at the doorstep, or the driver turns the whole truck around and heads straight back to the warehouse. In DeFi, this is absolutely non-negotiable. We definitely cannot afford a partial update where, say, a user's tokens are taken, but their collateral isn't credited. That'd be a complete disaster. To execute these atomic packages safely, every script we're looking at today follows a super strict 4-step assembly line. This ensures everything is safe, cost-effective, and totally verified. Number 1, we simulate. 2, we sign. 3, we submit the raw transaction. And 4, we validate the account state. Honestly, skip any of these and your app's foundation is basically built on sand.
Let's actually pause on step 1 for a second, because it's an absolute lifesaver. Pre-flight simulation. This is where you run a transaction locally against the current network state before you pay any actual fees to submit it to the chain. It's literally like checking if you have your parachute strapped on before you jump out of a plane. As an engineer, splotting on the pavement, not a great idea. And neither is burning gas on a failed transaction. Simulating lets us catch those pesky program-level errors early, meaning 0 fees paid for doomed transactions.
Moving on to Section 2, the deposit architecture. Let's talk about funding the collateral. So looking at our first blueprint, deposit.js, this script has one main job: create the required token accounts, take the user's funds, and lock them in as collateral. For this to actually work, 3 things have to happen in perfect unison. First, we create or allocate the associated token account, or ATA. Second, we transfer the collateral token into it. And third, we call the lending program's actual deposit instruction. Our SDK adapter does this beautifully. It choreographs all 3 dependent instructions into one single atomic transaction. Just like that delivery truck. Either the account is created, the tokens move, and the deposit records, or absolutely nothing happens at all.
All right, Section 3, Engineering the borrow flow. Time to extract some liquidity.
Okay, so our collateral is safely deposited and locked up in the smart contract, right? Now we move over to borrow.js. This script is built to extract liquidity from the protocol and actually generate a loan against the user's collateral. And just like before, it's a 3-step sequence. Step 1, it validates the collateral ratio to ensure the user is actually allowed to borrow the amount they want. 2, it calls the borrow instruction itself, which updates the loan program-derived address, the PDA, which is essentially our on-chain ledger tracking the debt. And 3, it credits those borrowed tokens straight to the user's token account.
Now, you might be wondering what happens if a user intentionally, or maybe just accidentally, tries to borrow way more than their collateral capacity allows. Like they deposit $100 but try to pull out $1 million. Well, if you hit this edge case, that pre-flight simulation we talked about earlier, it instantly throws an insufficient collateral error. Because we simulate first, that transaction never even sniffs the blockchain. You save this precious fee lamports and avoid a guaranteed failure altogether.
Next up, Section 4, constructing the repay flow. It's time to settle the debt.
So we're looking at repay.js.
Eventually, all debts have to be settled, right? This script lets users return their borrowed principal, and importantly, clean up temporary state on the blockchain, so we aren't just leaving digital litter everywhere. The flow here is transferring the Repay tokens back, calling the Repay instruction, and optionally, closing the loan PDA. Now, look closely at that third step. If our principal hits exactly 0, meaning the loan is 100% paid off, we can close out the loan PDA in an idempotent follow-up transaction. Remember that rent exemption security deposit we talked about? Closing the PDA actually reclaims those land ports. It's exactly like getting your apartment deposit back when you move out.
You know, testing code with this kind of rigor is a huge focus in Forge College's Web3 learning programs. To pull this off, we map out the exact expectations for what all 3 of these scripts have to achieve and exactly how we validate them. Deposit has to confirm the collateral balance went up. Borrow needs to check the loan PDA state. And Repay must confirm the loan principal actually decreased. When you structure your expectations this clearly, automated testing becomes completely deterministic. Which brings us to Section 5, validating the on-chain reality. Let's ensure this building actually stands. As blockchain developers, it is simply not enough to just submit a transaction, cross our fingers, and hope for the best. We need a 2-layer defense mechanism. Layer 1 is our pre-flight simulation, protecting your wallet before the transaction is ever submitted. Layer 2 is the post-submit validation checks, which happen after the state changes. These check functions literally read the affected accounts on devnet to assert definitively that the token balances and PDA fields updated correctly. It's an absolute flawless 1-2 punch for reliability. Finally, Section 6, structuring your next steps. Let's wrap up this construction. Okay, so what should you actually take away from all this? First, always compose dependent instructions atomically. It really is all or nothing. Second, always simulate before submitting so you avoid fee burn. Seriously, check your parachute. Third, automate your post-submit validation deterministically so you know for an absolute fact that your app works. And lastly, handle your conditional cleanup, like closing those zero-balance loan PDAs with idempotent follow-ups. If you stick to these 4 golden rules, I promise you your back-end transaction scripts will be completely rock solid. I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. Your back-end scripts are now incredibly solid, fully automated, and rigorously tested. But how is a front-end user actually going to experience these atomic transactions without staring at a terrifying wall of command line code? How do we build a beautiful interface that actually harnesses all this power? Well, that is exactly the UI challenge you can explore further in this curriculum's capstone project for building a DeFi lending and derivatives application. To dive deeper into this and check out other awesome Web3 courses like the rest of the Solana ecosystem track, be sure to visit forge.college. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and I will see you next time.